welcome to another GameGuru Max live broadcast number 52. That's right, might be 53, but I'm pretty sure it's 52. I hope everyone's doing okay this Wednesday afternoon, or at least it's afternoon where I'm broadcasting from. And before I get any further into the diatribe, just want to make sure that everyone who is tuning in can hear me. So I'm going to go have a quick look on my other screen to see if everyone can hear my dulcet tones. My microphone is beavering away on the volume control. Just want to make sure that everyone can hear me. I'm going to assume everybody can. Not got any replies yet. I guess everyone's too sweltering in the particular country's heat. But until I get confirmation, I'm going to assume everyone can hear me and I'm going to carry on. So if you're lucky enough to join live, you get the opportunity to ask me some questions and I will answer them towards the end of this broadcast, and those I can't get to, I will post as text answers in the GameGuru forums later on, along with a recording of this broadcast. So this week I want to show you more assets. Now, for those people who really are not interested in assets and kind of want to see some functionality in this game-making product of ours, don't worry. We're now nearly at the very end of showing you all the assets and the asset plans that we had in order to populate the software enough that we could create lots of different terrain themes. But what's been going on in the background is what you've not been able to see so far, specifically in the realms of terrain and in the realms of gameplay, two of the what we think is the most important aspects of any decent game maker. And so we're going to be ready to start showing you things like that in the weeks to come. But you'll have to bear with us one more time whilst we show you a few more bits of eye candy. That's not to say that visuals aren't important, but I think you've seen enough during the last couple of broadcasts to kind of agree that we've kind of got the visual quality where we need it to be. You know, we've not ignored feedback over the last couple of years with GameGuru Classic, and we wanted to make sure that we solve that for GameGuru Max. So first of all, I want to show you the last bits that we did to the character creator. We are by no means finished when it comes to the character creator. We'll continue to be adding parts. Just wanted to show you some last minute touches that you might have expected from, say, earlier versions of this. So what I want to show you is we've now got improved glasses. So you can see you've now got more choices. You've got vintage, so you've got vintage teak. So you can see you've got nice reflections going on if you can't really see it. If we look at sunglasses, sports sunglasses, you've got a nice reflection there. We've also got aviator yellow. You probably recognise those. And of course we've got round glasses. So yeah. And you see the reflections and all the correct metalness, etc, etc. But the main thing I want to show you is on the female side, which we have already expanded, but we plan to expand even more, but specifically increasing the number of headgears for the female characters. And for that there is a new kind of hairstyle that we've created called pixie hair. The reason we've got pixie hair is you may want hair, but you don't want it to interfere with the headgear and the hats that you're putting on. So pixie is a really good style. It's very close to the scalp and it allows all the hats that you've got to choose from to work. So if you remember back in the day, you got that. It doesn't really, I mean, yeah, it's fine, but you don't really want it in your shooter. And so we've provided some headgear that's a bit more appropriate to shooter gameplay, such as a green beret. So now you get a nice little beret in different colours. You've got the knitted cap, so you get a nice little tea cozy put on your head. We've also got ball cap, so you got a black ball cap, so something a bit cooler. And then you've got a bandana in different styles as well, maybe bandana digi camo. And sorry, the what do you call it? The bucket hat style as well. So lots of hats that are a bit more appropriate to someone you might see in a jungle or in an urban environment or a rural environment, and usually trying to help you or shoot you. So those are the character additions, but the big thing I want to show you is we've added to the tree collection. So if I just go and look for the tree collection, sort it from newest to oldest, that's a nice easy way of seeing sort of the last things we've added to a particular asset folder. And as you can see, because I've sorted new to old, and you'll also recognise it by this light green backdrop, these are all the new trees that we've added to the tree collection. And I just wanted to show you a little tip that I think is... Look, I've only got 2 trees here, dead tree set A, dead tree set B. So this is the tree which I've been talking about. But if I rotate it and put 3 of them down, then I take set B, place one in, rotate, place one in, rotate. From any angle, you know, it's not immediately obvious you're only looking at 2 trees because you rotated them. And if you clump them even closer together, it's even more apparent that, you know, you can create lots of variety. These are acacias, there's 3 of them. So let's put in 1, 2, 3, 4. And then you've got a different acacia, same breed, same species. But all I'm really doing is dropping a couple in and rotating them each time I do. So you actually end up with this huge grove. They're all acacia, and it makes sense that if acacias are growing and they're dropping the seeds, then the little baby acacias are actually growing as well. Then you're going to get clumps like this, which is actually what you'd find in nature. Clumps of very similar kinds of trees. Some tree species are symbiotic, so you'll have 2 clumps of different species next to each other because they have mutual advantage. Bamboo, you may recognise, let's just put, again, do this trick of putting in 4 of a thing just by rotating it. So another bamboo set, rotate, 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 rotate. And I think we have a 3rd bamboo set here, so we can rotate, 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 and rotate. And if I go and run this now, just to run around a little bit, you'll actually see that when they're all added to your, obviously we're not with the terrain yet, we're just looking at a grid, but you can imagine once you've actually clumped up these common groups of trees, you're starting to create a very natural effect. And really we've only got 2 of those trees, 3 of these trees, and 3 of these bamboo shoot style trees, but you can create almost infinite variety just with a few choices, which is why when you look at the library you actually see here you've just got like set A, set B, set C. So you've got enough of a variety, but then when you mix them up, it's not just looking at the same tree that's been rotated, because you're mixing them up as a group. And you can see, let me just go to a little bit higher view. You see we've got the acacias of the bamboo. We've also got banana trees, beech, birch, elm, fir, juniper, maple, oak, spruce. We have and willow. I like willow. And the willow is the last of the things. Then you notice the backdrop changed colour, which of course means those are the trees you had last in the last build, or I think it was the build before. So that's what I wanted to show you in terms of trees. The only other thing I wanted to mention in terms of the assets is we have renamed the military collection with our naming convention. What do I mean by naming convention? Well, the priority name is effectively what it is, in this case concrete wall, then we'll have a hyphen, and then it's subtitles. So it's still all these are concrete walls, but they are different things. You know, one's cracked, one's big, one's small, one's at this, one's that. And that's the naming convention we're going to carry on throughout our asset collections, and we're still in that process of renaming as well. And on that subject, because I know it's been raised, certainly in Discord, I think a little fewer comments on the forums as well, is these updates are getting awfully large. I mean, the current one's about 20 gigabytes. And because of our antics of shuffling assets around whilst we get them just right, you're suffering for that, having to re-download basically the same asset but in a different location, so it downloads it again. The good news is we have bumped the work on the second phase of the auto updater, so it can handle asset collections separate from the core install. And that work will be starting very soon indeed, and I'm hoping to release it to relieve you of this burden of downloading 20 gig. Usually takes me a couple of hours, but I'm not sympathetic with the fact it takes other people half a day or a day to download what really is for them just some software updates. They don't really want to just download a reshuffled asset collection. So just to let you know, we hear you loud and clear, and we have bumped that task to make sure you don't have to suffer that particular ill much longer. So with that, I want to move over to the chat. I hope everyone heard me. Otherwise, this was going to be a very interesting broadcast. Certainly not the first. but no one has heard me. Certainly, please continue to ask your questions. They usually pour in when I start going through this. But I'm just going to see first. Great. Loud and clear. Thanks, everybody. Looking for some questions now. Some lovely questions with some lovely question marks at the end of. First person who got in a question mark was Donald King II. Can we get a date when it actually comes out? Been waiting so long. Please refer to last 40 broadcasts, but the short answer is it is an open release date. We are not releasing a date because we don't want to disappoint if we don't hit that date. We do have a plan. We do have an internal schedule that we've been very good at keeping up with, but we're not releasing a date. We had some dates in the past, but we then decided we want to focus on product quality, not just getting it out for an arbitrary date. So unfortunately, you're going to have to wait a bit longer. Or if these weekly broadcasts are just frustrating you, you might want to sort of check back a little later. But no, there is not going to be a release date that we will ever announce until right towards the end when we're really happy with the product quality. So there is no actual release date for GameGuru Max. Here's a question from MRTV. Will you make some more weapons for GameGuru Max, or do we need to make our own or import them from GameGuru Classic? We are going to have some new weapons in GameGuru Max. There will be some limited ability to bring your old GameGuru Classic weapons over to Max. The general idea is that they will be compatible, but we are making improvements to the whole weapon system in Max, and so you won't benefit from those with the old Classic weapons. But they're by no means redundant, but the actual act of moving them across might be a bit difficult. Sure, you can create your own weapons if you've got some templates and the guide that we're going to produce to help you, but I think most people will just wait for new weapons that we will develop specifically for GameGuru Max. So I would say, if you're not confident about what I've just talked about, yeah, just wait, and we will be releasing new weapons for GameGuru Max that does a lot more than the GameGuru Classic weapons ever did. So, looking for another question. This is from Bellydos3D. Is it just me, or is he really quiet? Never been accused of being quiet before, Bellydos. But I heard the loud and clear, so I'm hoping everyone else can hear me. Maybe it's volume control. And I've looked at my microphone thing. I'm hitting the yellow. I sometimes can hit the red, but yeah, I'm certainly hitting the yellow on my high notes. So I think I'm doing all right in terms of output volume. And Donald King II confirms that the sound is good, so hopefully the sound is good. Looking for another question mark. This is from Loretta M. Any idea when VR will be added back in? When we have something to show. One of our policies that we are going to continue to show you things that when we're happy with it, then we show it. Rather than me just show you something half-baked and we're still working on it, so the thing you see isn't necessarily what you're going to get. And I've just noticed my chat has just been bombarded with a great big blue box, and now it's gone away. It just says 100% yes. I presume that was important. I'm sure someone's doing something during the chat. Thank you very much. Hopefully I continue with the... was I starting a question? Yes, I was starting the answer to the question. When will VR be added back in? As I say, when we start on VR and we have something cool to show, then we will show it in the Wednesday broadcast, then you'll be able to play with it on the Friday builds. Looking for another question, we're going down quite a long way actually without finding a question mark. And we're almost hitting the bottom. Here we go. Question from Fearless Wee. How in-depth are VR guns planned to be? Will it be just point and click, or will you have to, say, manually pump a shotgun, bolts on snipers, and reload by physically inserting shells into mags? Great question. There is no really easy way to do just point and click with a VR controller. So you will be able to hold the VR controller. You'll see the gun in front of you attached to the position and orientation of that controller. The trigger button on the controller will act as the trigger button for the weapon. Skill will need to be used in order to point the weapon correctly. Reload will probably be done by a button or some simple gesture. But as to all those bolt-ons you mentioned, great opportunities to do all that, but that won't be our focus. We're basically going to map the functionality of the 2D monitor and keyboard and mouse experience to the VR experience, but we're not embellishing that VR side on release. However, the opportunity to do that after release is tantalizing, but we don't want to skip ahead to VR before we've really mastered the non-VR gameplay. And so we will remain focused on that non-VR gameplay, and then, yeah, then we'll have some fun in VR. Looking for another question. Theron Rucker asks, can we use GameGuru Max as 3D editor for AGK? You can use GameGuru Classic as a 3D editor for AGK by using something called GG Loader. The author might decide to improve that product so it's compatible with Max, which would then allow you to use GameGuru Max as an editor for App GameKit Studio. But you'll have to talk to the third party of GG Loader if you want to see that become a reality. Just checking the clock, we're doing all right. I'm only 1 minute past my 15-minute lead. Please try and wrap this up before everyone's 2 hours later and we're all bored of his voice. So I'm going to give it another couple of minutes, but I think we can get through quite a lot more questions. Here's a question from 3Com. GG Max is going to give support to the sprites? Question mark. Well, we will have sprites. You know, you'll have sprites that you can use through the Lua scripting system. And of course, if you're in VR, you'll see those sprites floating around as 3D planes. So yeah, there will be some support for the sprites on the VR side, but there will be not much more that you'll need or want to do on the 2D side, because they're pretty comprehensive right now. You can actually make a 2D game with sprites in the Lua scripting system right now if you wanted to. Here's a question mark right under there. That's from Cyber Adelia PC. Reviews and stuff. What can we expect from the game presets? Questions, missions, etc. Game presets initially will be shooter gameplay. So all the things you'd expect in a modern shooter, you'd find the similar game mechanics on release. We're also going to be working on RPG, which would be more like your question missions and narratives and stuff like that, and of course puzzles. The idea of lots of complicated puzzle things, which is also a puzzle genre. But we're working on those after gameplay, shooter gameplay. So yeah, you probably won't get the question object for the shooter one, but you'll probably get it down the road when we start focusing on, say, the RPG game logic. Here's another question from 3Com. Any chance to GG Max supporting some sort of send key Lua command? I want to be able to take a screenshot in-game for my save game menu. Please ask me that question again in the GameGuru forums. I think it deserves a more thorough understanding of the question before I attempt the answer, because it could mean a lot of things, that, and I don't really want to sort of dwell on it when I've only got like 2 minutes left. Here's a new question from Kevin Hampson. Will video textures be supported at some point? Yes and no. And you won't be able to like play an MP4 like in the game. I think that'll be very costly and silly, but perhaps being able to pull an MP4 into a texture atlas and then having that being played on an object, that would be a very efficient way to do that inside a game. Something like that. There are no plans, there's no task which actually says that's going in, but I definitely think it's going to have to be in. I think when we start trying to do things like monitors, with something on the monitor flickering away, or some small video or a security camera, you're going to kind of need that sort of thing. So watch this space on that one. Checking the clock, 18, crawling up to the 20-minute mark. Kind of want to get back to my gameplay coding because I'm having great fun. So I'll answer 2 more questions, and then the rest you'll have to find in the GameGuru forums later on. So the next question is from KC Productions. Can we use characters from Reallusion Character Creator 3 in Max? I suggest you make them compatible, as you can create a huge variety of characters with high quality. Not out of the box. I've checked out Reallusion Character Creator 3. It is awesome. The characters are amazing. But the things those characters can do, it's like we'd have to do a lot more to fully support them. And I want to fully support them, but it's just not going to be possible within our current schedule. There is actually opportunities to export. I think Reallusion has this character export option in Character Creator 3, which lets you export an FBX, and we have an excellent model importer now, and it will take your animated and textured FBXs, and you may very well be able to get those characters into GameGuru Max, but we're not putting it on the box as such that we fully support Reallusion Character Creator 3. That's not our primary mission. Our primary mission is to support FBXs, most FBXs. But we will look at Character Creator 3 afterwards, just in case we're not that far away from full support. And the last question from someone who's not asked a question before is from Chris with a question mark. Can you show an demo? If you rewind this broadcast 20 minutes, you actually see a demo of what I want to show today. And if you rewind all the broadcasts to broadcast number 1, you'll kind of see a demo of the entire GameGuru Max software and every feature that we have shown and released so far. Quite a lot of footage in there. If you mean, what, can we actually download a demo and play it? The only way to get access to GameGuru Max whilst it's in development is to pre-order. And anyone who wants to pre-order, we're offering a 25% discount. And pre-order, you just get access to these builds every Friday. So everything I show you today on Wednesday, you get to download on Friday and play with it. Yes, as I mentioned before, it's 20 gigs, so you might have to wait a while, but you will be able to play with GameGuru Max. But that privilege for those people who are helping us out during development by pre-ordering the software. So that's my broadcast for this Wednesday. I will be doing another broadcast next Wednesday, 4 p.m. I often say 4 p.m. GMT. That's not the case, is it? It's 4 p.m. BST because we're in British summertime right now. So next Wednesday, 4 p.m. BST is when I will be broadcasting again. I hope you enjoyed this week's broadcast. Hopefully next week we can start resuming showing off some functionality. I know a lot of people are really waiting for that. So until next week, I hope you enjoyed yourselves. Thanks very much for listening, and I'll speak to you all next week. Goodbye.